Hello, and welcome to MRA's 5 Minute HR Feed, the podcast that delivers timely, practical HR insights in just a few minutes. In the time it takes to grab a cup of coffee, you'll gain valuable perspectives on today's most important workplace trends, challenges, and HR developments. I'm your host, Beth Kerstein, and we're glad you've joined us. Before we begin, a quick reminder that the information shared in this podcast is intended for educational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. Now, let's get started and explore today's topic. I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about a concept that can have a significant impact on workplace culture: the difference between having a renter mindset and an owner mindset. Now, this has nothing to do with whether you own a home or rent one. It's about how we show up at work every day. Imagine two people living in identical homes. One rents, one owns. Generally speaking, the owner is more likely to invest time maintaining the property, improving it, fixing problems before they become bigger issues, and thinking about its long term value. The renter may take good care of the home, but they're often more likely to think that's somebody else's responsibility. That same mindset can exist in the workplace. Every day, each of us makes a choice. Will we think like a renter or will we think like an owner? Someone with a renter mindset typically focuses on what they're required to do and not much beyond that. You might hear comments like, "That's not my job. Someone else will take care of it. Nobody told me." Or, "Management needs to fix that." When problems arise, renters often wait for direction instead of taking initiative. They may notice inefficiencies but choose not to speak up because they don't believe it's their responsibility. This mindset can slowly affect workplace culture. When enough people wait for someone else to solve problems, collaboration decreases, accountability fades, and frustration grows. Owners think differently. Owners ask, "How can I help? What can I do to improve this?" Or, "If I see a problem, how can I be a part of the solution?" An owner doesn't need a management title to lead. Ownership is about taking responsibility for your work, supporting your teammates, looking for ways to improve processes, and treating the organization's successes as your own success. Owners understand that every interaction with coworkers, customers, members shapes the organization's reputation. They know that leadership isn't defined by a title, it's defined by actions. There's another characteristic of ownership that is just as important: financial stewardship. Think about your own household. Most of us don't leave every light on when we leave the house. We compare prices before making a large purchase, and we ask ourselves, "Do I really need this?" We avoid waste because it's our own money. Now imagine that same mindset at work. Owners don't think it's the company's money. They think, "These are our organization's resources, and I have a responsibility to use them wisely." That doesn't mean avoid spending altogether. In fact, owners often support investments that create value. The difference is that they ask thoughtful questions. Will this improve quality or efficiency? Is there a smarter, more cost effective way? How can we eliminate waste? Or, if this came out of my own checking account, would I make that same decision? That's ownership. It shows up in everyday actions: ordering only what is needed, taking care of equipment so it lasts longer, reducing waste in supplies and materials, using company time productively, looking for efficiencies that save time and money, and being thoughtful with travel, meals, and discretionary expenses. No single decision may seem significant, but hundreds of good decisions made by hundreds of employees every day create a financially healthy organization. And financially healthy organizations can invest back into their people through competitive pay, better benefits, improved technology, career development, safer workplaces, and long term stability. Fiscal responsibility isn't just the finance department's job, it's everyone's responsibility. Workplace culture isn't created by mission statements hanging on the wall. Culture is created by thousands of small decisions employees make every day. It's choosing to help a coworker without being asked, speaking respectfully during difficult conversations, offering an idea instead of a complaint, admitting mistakes and learning from them, celebrating others' successes, following through on commitments, and treating company resources as carefully as we would our own. These behaviors build trust, and trust builds strong teams. The good news is that ownership is contagious and spreads. When one person consistently models accountability and positivity, others begin to follow. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Negativity, blame, and indifference spread just as quickly. Each of us contributes to the culture every day, whether we realize it or not. The question isn't whether we influence culture, the question is what kind of culture are we creating? Here are some simple habits anyone can start today. First, solve one problem instead of simply identifying it. If you notice an issue, ask yourself, what part of this can I help improve? Second, think beyond your own role. Ask yourself how your work impacts your coworkers, customers, or the organization as a whole. Third, choose solutions over complaints. It's easy to point out what's wrong. Owners bring ideas for making things better. And finally, manage company resources as if they were your own. Whether it's time, money, equipment, supplies, or opportunities, ask yourself, would I make the same decision if it affected my own household budget? That simple question can change the way we think about every decision we make. And at the end of the day, organizations don't build great cultures, people do. Every employee has a choice. We can approach work with a renter mindset, doing only what's expected, waiting for others to solve problems, and treating the company's successes as somebody else's responsibility. Or we can choose an owner mindset, taking pride in our work, looking for opportunities to improve, supporting one another, thinking responsibly about the organization's resources, and contributing to a culture where everyone can succeed. The strongest organizations aren't filled with perfect people. They're filled with people who choose ownership. So today, I encourage each of us to ask one simple question. Am I showing up today like a renter or like an owner? Because the answer to that question shapes not only our own success, but the culture we create together. Thank you for listening to MRA's 5 Minute HR Feed. Be sure to follow and connect with us for more podcasts and updates. If you're a member and have questions, you can always connect with MRA's 24/7 HR hotline by emailing infonow@mranet.org or by calling 866 474 6854.